Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And this is another family home. I think I'm going to be calling it a cozy family home because to me it is quite cozy, but it's also very bright as well, which typically for me is not synonymous with cozy. I don't really know why. I think like warm tones and stuff like that, especially as we are rounding the corner of fall, I think of like deeper burgundies and stuff as being super cozy, but I think that this home is pretty cozy considering it's a little bit brighter, I suppose. But I did really enjoy this home. I was envisioning it was for a couple who was maybe expecting their very first child, and I loved that idea. I don't do it too often. I can't even remember the last time I did it, but I don't typically make a nursery in the anticipation of, you know, a family that I move in there having like their first baby or something. Typically I'll make like a toddler room. I don't usually make a lot of nurseries, so it was kind of nice to do that, especially because yellow is like my favorite color for nurseries, and we have so many items in the game that allow you to make a yellow nursery. But I really love the structure of this home. I really like the shape. It's kind of small, and honestly it looks a lot smaller than it is. There's plenty of room inside, and I was kind of surprised that I was able to make it a 2-bedroom. It was a little bit challenging. I typically try to create hallways upstairs, like landing areas and hallways, to not have all of the bedrooms like connect with one another because I don't think it's very realistic. However, for this build, you guys will find that I did indeed connect the master bedroom to the nursery because there was just really no other way to do it without sacrificing too much space. But I am working on using the terrain tool to try to bring the terrain up a little bit, just to make it look as though that garage isn't floating in like a separate place from, you know, the rest of the foundation of the build. Because when I use the actual garage door like mural that we have from City Living, or the garage door that's in Debug, it's really easy to just use a flat cement foundation and bring that door down to the appropriate level. But considering I made a fake garage door, I kind of had to bring the foundation up, and then I had to raise the terrain to make sure that it looked as though it was actually like connected to the house and looked like an actual garage, if that makes sense. And it's always a struggle for me. I always end up kind of making it, I don't know, it's like it's this little tiny bump up to the garage door, like this little tiny hill that you would have to drive your car over, which probably wouldn't be too great for your car, but we don't have cars, so we don't have to worry about that. But I do like how it looks, and now I'm working on the landscaping, which is, I suppose I'll say, a little bit different from some of my most recent landscaping. I've been using these green Debug hedges for a while, though I think I actually used the ones from the Buy catalog this time. And I also used some low-lying flowers, but again from the Debug menu because they're blue, and I thought that that was kind of a nice little change of pace, I suppose. I also used a few hydrangea, and of course some of my favorite like daisies and other kind of like, I don't even know what kind of flowers those pink ones are. I never look. I should really look because we have them in the Build and Buy catalog, but also Debug. I've just never looked to see what kind of flowers they are, so I should probably check that at some point. But I've really been enjoying these daisy plants that I'm now placing everywhere. I'll size them up, size them down. I just feel like they're great fillers to kind of make, I don't know, some dimensional bushes as well. They're great to kind of hide underneath some other bigger plants, but also to kind of stand on their own. I just really like them, and I've really been enjoying using them lately, so you guys will probably see them in some other builds coming up this week and maybe next. But I am finishing up with the landscaping in the front yard here. And then I decided to take out a Debug car since I gave them a garage. And I had been going through the Debug menu recently because, if you guys did not know, with the patch that we got, I believe last week prior to the Star Wars release on Tuesday, we got actually a bunch more Debug items in the Debug menu. And I was kind of combing through, and it's a lot of like pre-made buildings, which is really neat. But I also found, as I no longer have it out, it was basically like something that you would attach to the back of your truck or your car to, you know, bring a boat around to kind of travel with a boat. So I was going to give this family a boat thinking that that would be kind of neat, but considering that I manipulated the terrain near the garage, it would not lie flat because it's such a big object, and it just would catch and raise up to a point that I just like couldn't make it lay flat, like it would not work. So I kind of scrapped the idea, but it could be a cool idea if you guys are looking to kind of give a family maybe a little bit more personality. Is I end up, pulling out a car or something that I think matches their personality, and that boat idea is kind of nice. I might try it in maybe Sulani or something, though it may not really fit in that world. I'm not quite sure, but I do want to kind of play around with that idea when I don't have the terrain manipulation kind of messing me up. But we are pretty much finished with the front yard here. I just add a mailbox and kind of finish up with some terrain paint, and of course adding outdoor lights because I've been so good about remembering them lately. And then we end up moving on to the interior, and the floor plan for this build was surprisingly so easy. It actually came together really fast, and I was really pleased with it because it was very open, and I didn't think that any of the rooms were like super awkward shaped, which was a huge plus in my book, because typically I feel as though at least one or two of the rooms that I make in homes that are this small are a little bit awkward. I have also been doing this a lot lately where I don't kind of figure out the back of a build until I lay out the floor plan. And let me just say, it has been one of the most helpful things that I have been doing for myself lately. It has prevented me from having to scrap like so many different ideas, and I even wait to place most of the windows as well until I really figure out the floor plan, which has been so helpful. I've started to care a little bit less about perfect symmetry with windows sometimes, because let's just be honest, there are definitely some houses that are pretty unique and like windows aren't placed exactly where you would imagine them, like that kind of thing. So I don't know, it's been kind of freeing. So if you guys are kind of struggling with something like that, I've been exploring it. It's been really fun. But anyway, as you can see, we are onto the interior, and I ended up making this space the kitchen. So granted, I made the outside look like a garage, but I decided to not actually create a garage space, which I kind of go back and forth on that. Sometimes I'll make it an actual garage space and sometimes I won't. I thought for a house this small though, because it is reasonably small, I really didn't think that wasting the space, essentially, like it would feel like a waste of space if I were to try to cram a living room and like a potential half bath and a kitchen into the other half of the house, and this whole thing be a giant garage. That just didn't seem like a good idea. So granted, yeah, it's a little confusing because it kind of reflects a garage outside, but I loved this kitchen, and granted, it's not exceptionally different from what I've done in kitchens before. I just really liked it because I haven't used the Parenthood tile in such a light swatch in some time. I also haven't used the Parenthood counters in such a light swatch in some time. Gosh, that was such a mouthful. And it was a reasonably big kitchen, which made me really happy. And there's actually kind of two dining spaces, which I thought was really nice for a house that was a little bit on the small side. So they do have a kind of like informal dining here in the kitchen. So maybe this is where they sit and have breakfast or have coffee in the morning and just kind of sit as a family. But if they do have guests over, they have a dining section out in the other half of the home as well, which is open to the living space. And you guys will see there are a fair amount of seats that aren't accessible, but I did it for the purposes of it looking really nice. So you'll see what I'm referring to when we get there, but I am just cluttering up the kitchen right now. There's plenty of counter space. My Tessim had no issues prepping any meals or cooking anything in this kitchen, which was a relief because I realized that I had kind of cluttered up almost every single countertop and they needed at least one to try to like prep things and stuff. So that was really nice to figure out. And I ended up making this little island. Nothing special, honestly. It was originally going to be where I was going to place the sink or even the stove, but I so wish that we had stoves that didn't have that little like that high back to it. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of, it's not a backsplash, but basically that's where like all the dials are on my stove, right? But I wish we had just like a flat cooktop that we could put in an island. That would be so pretty. And like, I'm not gonna lie to you, we had it in I think The Sims 2 or 3. We had like a flat stovetop that we could just put on top of a counter, which was amazing. And we also had some stoves that didn't have that little kind of lip to them, if that makes sense. But anyway, I wish we had that. And here we are working on the other little dining section, which here's kind of what I was mentioning is that there are only 3 seats. And then I ended up using one of these little, I suppose not really corner seats, but the little angled seats that we got with cats and dogs. And that was my intention with even building that part of the house, is I wanted to put one of those there so badly, and I just decided to do it. I know it's not accessible. I know your Sims can't sit there, which I so wish that they could, but I really love how it looks, so hopefully you guys don't mind. At least there are, 7 seats in the entire home for Sims to sit and actually like eat meals and whatnot, even if it's not all together. But again, I was thinking this was only a couple for right now, and they're expecting their first child, so they don't really need all the seating quite yet. And I don't think they can really expand unless they add on to the house too, because if they had any more kids, it's a very small room to cram too many Sims in. So anyway, I'm just rambling now. It's one of those days. I haven't done a voiceover now in probably close to like 5 or 6 days, and that's a long time. I was pre-recording a lot for last week, so jumping into this is actually, it's like almost oddly nerve-wracking. Do you guys feel that way as well? Like when you take some time off doing voiceovers, are you like fumbling over yourself frequently? Because I definitely am right now. I'm like kind of freaking out about it for no good reason. But anyway, here is the living room, and I'm in the debug menu pulling out a couple of books because I actually wanted this to kind of tie into at least one of the Sims that lived here. I was thinking that maybe Dad actually was a little bit nervous about his first child coming into the world, and he has been doing a lot of work on his like self-confidence and just really seeing the value in what he brings to the table. And I'm not thinking like marital problems or anything, but it's just something that he's struggled with, and he wants to just be the best person he could possibly be for his child that he's about to welcome into this world. So I thought it was kind of nice to pull out some of those kind of like self-help books. Like maybe he's really diving deep into, I don't know, just really discovering who he is, what he brings to the table, and what he wants to pass on to his kid. And I thought that was a really sweet idea, especially because I loved this in, I believe it was The Sims 2 and maybe The Sims 3. I can't recall, but there was this adorable interaction that a Sim would basically be like, have spouse or have other parent read a parenting book or like a baby book, and it was essentially like preparing for your incoming child, and they would get like a little moodlet or something like that would be like feeling prepared for the baby, or so glad I read that parenting book, or something like that. And you probably could get, I think there's maybe a moodlet that comes with reading the actual parenting skill books now in The Sims 4, but it was really cute because it was basically like the pregnant Sim would be asking their spouse, like, can you please read this book to prepare for like not only my pregnancy, but the baby that's coming. And it was so sweet because they would ask their spouse to do it, and their spouse would just go off and read it, and then they would get like a happy or encouraging moodlet or something. And it was so cute. So that was kind of like my idea behind all of that. It just seemed really sweet, and it was kind of me tipping my hat to the previous Sims games. I've been watching people on YouTube playing The Sims 2 and 3 lately, and I actually re-downloaded The Sims 3. I've had all the packs, since that game was basically the game before The Sims 4 was out, and it was so fun to actually like re-download them on Origin. And I jumped into The Sims 3 yesterday, and oh my gosh, I think I only had like three expansion packs. I was going to say 3 generations packs, 3 expansion packs live. And I think I had some stuff packs, but it was so very different from The Sims 4. I never built in The Sims 3 because it was so hard. And to be honest, I did not like a lot of the objects we had at all. So I never built in The Sims 3. I only just furnished things that were already made. So trying to like build something in The Sims 3, which I definitely tried to do for a very short amount of time, was so hard. But we are actually on to the upstairs at this point, and the floor plan is pretty much divvied up. This is going to be the parents' bedroom, and I really liked it. It was very simple. There's not much going on here, and it's kind of an odd shape, like a really odd shape to me. I really liked having that little, well, technically it's the chimney on the outside, which I know makes no sense either, but I put the dresser in there so it at least allowed the room to be somewhat open. But I do give them a guitar because maybe mom or dad actually, fiddles on the guitar every now and then. I actually pictured like mom writing little lullabies on the guitar and like sitting in the nursery, just imagining her soon-to-be child. And I don't know, I'm like really attached to this house, and I really can't pinpoint why. I think it's because I put a lot of thought into this family, which I haven't really done too much of recently. Like I've just been building and building and loving some of these ideas, but I haven't dove too deep into the personalities or really what the family dynamic is, I suppose. Sometimes I've been focusing all of that effort on my save file compared to the builds that I sometimes share on the channel, which can be a mix of save file builds and not save file builds. So I don't know, I'm just being pulled in like 5 different directions by myself, of course. Like this isn't me complaining, but I'm kind of like doing so many things at once. And I suppose it was kind of refreshing to actually really have a fleshed out idea for a family in this home. And I really like them, and I think I'm probably going to make them. I'm not sure if they'll be in my save file, but I do really like the ideas that I have for them. And now moving on to the nursery, which I did mention is basically right off of the parents' master suite, which for a nursery, I actually really like that. It's going to be a little bit odd when this baby is a child or like a teenager, let's just be real, but maybe they'll be moving to a bigger home after that. Like maybe this is their first home and they'll move into something bigger and better at some point, and that's maybe if they want to, you know, expand their family even more as well. But I loved going with kind of like this yellow and orange theme. And I put these 2 shelves up here and just kind of cluttered them up with a bunch of like kid related toys and decorations, which I've done that sometimes, but I really liked how it looked here because the room was small enough that that really added all of the clutter I felt I needed. Like I feel like I didn't have to go any harder on the clutter after that. And I also sized down this base game dresser and raised up an ottoman to make it look like a changing table. I put a lamp. They have a big stuffed teddy bear and a rocking chair. I will never not use a rocking chair in a nursery at this point. There's also a few kind of like night lights and other miscellaneous decorations just to give it a little bit more personalization as well. But it was very simple and I thought it was really, really cute. And then I move on to the other full bathroom upstairs. So downstairs has the shower, but upstairs has the bathtub. And the reason why it wasn't a shower tub combo is because of the window placement. Like I did it to myself, I know, but the shower tub combo like half blocked one of those windows and it just looked so weird. I could not get past it. And I ended up just using the bathtub because when that baby's a toddler, they'll need a place to bathe the toddler. But I ended up replicating the same kind of like shelf that I had in the nursery in the bathroom, which I thought was really nice with just some bathroom related items. And then I end up putting a few more wall decorations that would belong in a restroom. And we end up moving on to the backyard, which doesn't end up being super complicated either, but again, I surprised myself with the amount of space that I actually had. I've been surprising myself a lot with the amount of backyard space that I've been giving myself in some of these builds. They do have a little gate here as well, so they can kind of access the backyard from the sidewalk, which I'm a little hesitant about. I don't really like it, but you know, it's okay. It works. It's all right. I had some flower beds as well in all the windows just to add a little bit more character. And they do have a small swimming pool, which I've been doing a lot lately. And I'm really happy that I have been because a lot of my builds previously just didn't have swimming pools. So it's really nice to just kind of toss that out there. They also have a little place to have a couple of gardening beds, and then they have a picnic table and a grill so they can do some outdoor dining by the pool. They also have a couple of lounge chairs, and I also add a bike on the porch. Maybe mom or dad like rides their bike to work, I'm not really sure. And there's also a couple of outdoor chairs like on the porch in the back. I don't think I put them in the front because the porch is very, very small, but I think I put them on the back porch at least so they can kind of be covered by a roof in case it's raining, but still nice enough to sit outside and kind of just watch the rain fall. Gosh, I'm excited for fall. I'm so excited for autumn. It's almost here. It really is. It is almost here. It's like 80 degrees where I am today, but we're getting there. But that is almost it for the build. I'm just adding a few more touches to the pool out here, and that is pretty much it. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
I'm walking down the street on clouds instead of the concrete I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way. Nothing can ruin my day, no matter what anyone does or say. I smile at fools. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. I'm strolling down the street with all of my favorite songs on repeat. I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way, and I don't care if you spill coffee on me or if the sky is gray or blue. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. I know what it's like to be broke, yeah. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow